With that thought, dread ballooned inside me. If I opened the cabin door, what would I find? Suddenly, I very badly wished that my sibling were with me. I've always been the superstitious one who gets nervous about walking through graveyards at night. Ace never worries about flickering lights or haunted cemeteries or unknown horrors. Ace sees only electrical problems or soil filled with decaying organic matter. Their fears are always practical. Unpaid bills, authoritarian laws, muggings, or violence. Never ghosts, curses, or whatever was waiting in that cabin. I glanced down at the plush sloth in my hand and back at the ajar door. The windows were cracked and dark. Grime caked the glass. The steps creaked as I reached for the door, and I felt my nose wrinkle and my stomach clench because of the smell. A terrible smell. It came wafting on the air, like garbage and sewage and meat left out to fester. An unbearable chill numbed my arm the moment I gripped the knob, and I braced myself and thrust the door open. To my surprise, not only was the cabin brightly lit, but several faces turned toward me. A thin, tired-looking man raised a hand to his lips for silence. "What? Are you Joel?" I asked. The man motioned to his lips again, more desperately. A woman at the seat across from him glared at me and shook her head. Her mouth had strange markings across her lips, like she'd drawn stitches over them. A little girl next to the woman looked at me anxiously, her eyes widening as she noticed the tattered sloth in my hand. The last person, a long-haired man seated next to the tired-looking man, did not turn around in his seat or move at all, and I could only see the back of his head. All four of them had their hands holding each other's on the table, except for the finger that Joel had raised to silence me. He motioned me to sit in the chair to his left. This was so strange. I had so many questions. I came over and pushed the sloth toward the little girl, saying as I sat down, "Are you Emily? People have been—" "Shh." Again, the finger at his lips in a stern reprimand, and then the door to the cabin slammed open. I yelped, gasping as a hand gripped mine firmly. Joel had hold of my arm. He jerked me closer and pointed to himself, to his eyes, and closed them. I glanced to his wife, his daughter, already with their eyes squeezed shut. That was all the warning I had before I heard the footsteps, and I started to turn my head. His fingers dug into my arm. I squeezed my eyes closed. Something stepped inside through the open door. Thud, thud, the scuff of footsteps on the wooden slats, and the sound of chuckling. There was something vaguely familiar about the voice. I couldn't place it, but the longer I listened, the more familiar it seemed, like a word on the tip of my tongue, or a name I couldn't quite remember to a familiar face. The footsteps and the soft cackling drew closer. There was also something unpleasant with the footsteps. A smell, the waft of something rotten or maybe of body odor, and then a whisper in my left ear, as if lips were just next to my skin. A cold, rotten breath. I think it whispered my name. The fingers on my arm tightened in warning. The whispering moved, now to my right ear. Thud, thud. The footsteps moved around the table. I almost opened my eyes to see who or what was in the cabin with us, but instinct told me not to look. The steps circled around the room and then receded out the door, which clicked shut. The pressure on my hand eased and I opened my eyes. The first thing I saw was four faces turned